All right. Thank you again for tuning in. I'm so excited to start this month of April on a topic that is very relevant to me in my life right now. I won't disclose the topic yet, as you will get to know more of what I'm trying to convey throughout this episode. But thank you for coming back. I know some of you have been listening, and thank you for all the feedback that you provided. It really means a lot to me that you are listening and that to know that some of the information that I'm sharing is actually resonating with you and is really helping you to really stay in there and do the work. And so, thank you. I truly appreciate it. And here I come. So, you all know with everything that's going on in my life right now at the moment, from the book launch, which is so huge this whole month, and then co-hosting a 21-day long summit with my partner, the Fear to Freedom Summit. That is also so amazing, but so much work. I've been thinking a lot about how I've been showing up and what really means to me to stay committed to these projects. And you know what? I have truly a confession to make. I have struggled for the longest time when it came to showing up for myself and giving my best. I realized very early on in my early years of self development that I'm a fantastic starter, and I am not as great as a finisher. Yeah. So, in fact, I still have to really keep myself in check, and I still do day to day be able to really notice when I get excited about doing something and then how am I not really showing up, right? And just the other day, I literally was riding my Peloton bike, and the instructor gave me a speed range. I don't know if some of you guys ride or run the treadmill on the Peloton, but they usually give you a range from like 85 to 125. And I know that I needed to work out that day, but I went straight to what I realized, how I was not really excited during that workout because I was actually just going for the bare minimum. I was going for 85 rather than top speed 125. So I know that I could physically do it, but I knew that because I didn't really want to do it that day, didn't want to do the workout. So I knew it was going to be more comfortable if I stay with 85. But when I really started really examining, okay, where am I showing up like this, or in my default of just going just for like the bare minimum, right? And then bare minimum effort for viable result. And I can say I'm sharing this just to let you know that I'm still human and that you're human, and no matter what it is that you're working on, there's always that next level. And all of it, no matter what it is also a practice. So, what I'm really trying to get to is that how are you holding yourself accountable, right? So, there it is. The subject or the topic of discussion for this month, I really want us to focus all around accountability and what it's like to hold yourself, first of all, hold yourself accountable, right? Holding yourself accountable when no one is watching, or how are you going to follow through? Something I'm working on, I'm still working on, is, being really mindful with when you are just showing up just to do enough, right? I know doing enough just to get by, I get mediocre results. And I teach this all the time. And that's why it's so up front and center for me, is every single time we talk about getting results, and I have big goals this year. I always tell my clients, if you want to double your revenue or achieve a particular goal, triple your revenue, you have to be twice the person you were last year, or you have to be triple the person that you were last year. So same thing, here I am on the bike wanting to lose weight and feeling healthy, and I'm just going for the bare minimum, right? So just to let you know that just because I've been in this does not mean that it's perfection. It's rather a practice and progress. So here's the thing: when you don't give yourself 100% effort, here is what is the kicker: it starts chipping away your confidence and your ability to perform that task without you really thinking about it, right? It's a very subconscious, like just like how, I choose to only go for 85, cadence instead of 125. Every day, if I'm used to showing up just for bare minimum, that's what I'm going to be getting in terms of the result, right? Because when you are not giving your absolute best, you are going to be used to that standard, and then that standard becomes whatever the result, and usually it's mediocre results because you're not giving in your 100%. That's one thing. And the second thing, that we always talk about this, and my clients come to me with this question all the time: how I don't understand why I'm second guessing myself. I don't understand why I go through cycles of self doubt all the time. Guess what? This is what happens when you choose to show up just doing enough to get by. And then, not only that, there are also times where you're not following through or you're not showing up. That's what happens when you chips away your level of confidence. And then that's how the level of, or the cycle of self doubt begin. And I mean, so you got to really think about it. Like, how are you, first of all, holding yourself accountable, taking responsibility for just the one thing that you say you would do? And not only that, you're taking responsibility for what's not done. So basically, what's that you I could have done better, but I didn't go for maximum speed. And that's okay. I take responsibility. Then the minute I'm aware of that, I can switch it. And then ultimately, I know my client comes to me all the time: how do I stop this cycle of self doubt? How do I hold myself accountable? I can tell you, it starts with, I learned it the hard way, that you have to begin taking yourself seriously. What I mean by that is that you have to keep your word to yourself. You have to be really mindful of what you're saying yes to, so that you can follow through, as if like your life is dependent on it. Because if you are not taking yourself seriously, and if you're not following through and committing to yourself and doing the things that you say that you would do, that's how you kill your confidence. And that's how self-doubt happens. So I want you to entertain this idea and really take an inventory in your life of where you're just showing up just to get by, and what kind of result are you getting or not getting, in your life, and how can you hold yourself accountable to the results and the outcome that you really want to achieve. Okay. And I know I'm going to give you a series of questions. You can even close your eyes and do this exercise with me if you like. And if you're listening to the podcast and you're driving, please don't close your eyes. But imagine what you would feel like if you were confident in everything that you set your mind to? Or what if you believe that you would accomplish every single goal in your life with confidence, right? What would people around you be like? Are they happier to be around you if you were more confident? And what would your energy level be like if you are showing up confidently in what it is that you do? You know that you can finish what you start, right? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself to hold yourself accountable for whatever it is that you are setting your heart on. And then ultimately, this whole podcast, I really want to really begin touching on the topic of accountability. That's what I want to talk about this whole month of April. So think about it. Accountability April, right? So think about that. The first level of building confidence is beginning to really hold yourself accountable. And oftentimes you're like, okay, how do I give myself a confidence boost? Like, how do I begin to really build my confidence, which is specifically the topic of what I want to talk about today, and give you four tips that you can work on to really beginning to hone in and really heighten the level of confidence, okay, in your life. The first tip I want to really share, and what I always talk about, is to really stay focused on your vision. Your vision. I know it's really cliche. You hear this so much, but ultimately that's what it is. That's what you're working towards, right? No matter what it is. So when do you find yourself stuck in the ruck, right? Like stuck in the rut, take a second, really real look at your life and visualize to see, is this close to what I envision my life to be? Right? How do you want, the ultimate achievement? Like, for example, we are talking about only setting really short-term goals, especially with the pandemic and all the anxiety and everything that's going on. You've probably have heard me talk about this on one of my previous podcasts, how short-term goals is very effective right now in this space. So what is the particular result that you would want to happen in the next 30 days? And what would that look like? But beyond that, like, what are you going to feel like? What are you going to be doing? And who is it going to be around you? Like, what is your ultimate vision of what is that going to look like when you have achieved your goals at the end of it, right? And just like, for example, it cannot be, the vision is definitely so much more internally driven, right? And it's less on the surface level. Here's what I mean by that. So I know you guys hear me talk about working out all the time. And yes, on the surface level, I'm working out because I want to lose the rest of the baby weight that, I put on having my son. But ultimately, why am I working out? I'm working out so that I have the mental capacity and clarity to be there for my clients, so that I'm helping my brain stay healthy, that so I can maintain my critical thinking skills, so I can help them problem solve their life and business problems. That is that is the reason. But ultimately, I care about my clients' results. Ultimately, that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Then the vision is that I believe every single business owner should be successful. And that's my ultimate vision. And I'm here for that mission and that mission only. So no matter what it is that I do, it's connected to my vision. So the first thing to really help you build that first, sense of confidence is being connected to your vision, because people buy your vision, people buy your why, less of, what it is that you're selling. Secondly, I want you to really focus on quality over quantity. You have heard this before, I'm sure. So instead of, for example, I have a super busy month, I can't work out 5, 6 times a week. So I have to figure out a regimen that is going to get me the most out of all my workout. So instead of doing 5 or 6, I'm just doing 3 per week for the rest of the month. But the strategy with that is, how can I give my 100% in the workout? So I have to choose the type of workout that is going to like give me the environment and the opportunity to show up my best. And those are the HIT workouts. For those of you know about workout, it's high intensity interval training, meaning you go really 100% and you pause, 100% and you pause or slow down. That actually is the best workout when you don't have a lot of time. It's most effective as well. It burns more calories. I don't want to go into that, but it burns more calories because I am trying to make sure that the only 20 minutes or 30 minutes I have 3 times a week for this month is going to be worthwhile. So I'm more focused on quality over quantity. Okay. Second, last tip that I want to really talk about is that to stay committed. I know it's really easy to really get into it, right? Like, but for the longest time, to be honest with you, I think, or have thought, that commitment is a feeling. And sometimes, like, I don't feel like doing the thing, right? And like on days where I don't feel like motivated to do the thing, I feel like, oh, well, I'm not as committed. And what I really begin to really learn is that commitment, it's more of an action and it's not a feeling. So here's what I mean by that. You all know I have a 7 month old, I have a baby. So if he spits up at night, I don't feel like getting up. It's 3 a.m., right? I don't feel like getting up, but I do anyway to clean him up and then put him back to bed. So that's commitment because I'm committed to raising this baby. I'm committed to having this baby. So that's the action. So as you can see, the feeling has nothing to do with it. If you're committed to what it is that you're doing, you will do it even when you don't feel like it. That's commitment. So stay committed and really see how you really view commitment to yourself, and see if you can reframe that. And last but not least, this gets most of us all of the time, even for me sometimes, again, we're all human, is to adopt the I get to attitude. How many times you say I have to do something? Right? For me, it's like I have to do laundry, right? Like I have to, clean the car. I know it's just like tedious tasks. Like I have to, create my content, marketing calendar. Oh, like I have to do this and that. And here's the thing, when you have that thought, I have to do something, it generates negative emotions. Like right away, right off the bat, right? Like think about it. If you have to do something and it's a chore for you, how would you feel? Think about that. So it may be frustration. I get really angry. I get resentful. Like, why am I going to do this thing? So rather than I have to, because the reality is you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. Yeah, that is the reality. There are consequences, right? For sure. When you don't do something or you do something, absolutely, I'm not talking about that. What I'm really getting to is you don't have to do anything you don't want to do in your life. But rather than, if you have that mentality of going into, oh, I have to do this thing, I want to invite you to really think about the opportunity that you get to do something, right? That sends you off in a really more positive place. And usually, like, I get to get up and work out. That gets me really excited. Yeah, like I'm like, oh, I wonder, one of my favorite Peloton instructors is Emma and Tunde. So I get to see, whoa, what kind of playlist that they're going to pull out today, and what kind of like arm workout, like it's their excitement going into it. There's also joy. There's also like so much anticipation, but the good kind of anticipation. And hence, I'm showing up in that space, creating more results. I probably would crank my cadence up to 125 that day because I get to work out versus when I showed up and only did the 85, which is the minimal, was the day when I didn't want it to do the workout. So notice when you go into the I have to, see if you can reframe and switch it to I get to, right? I get to. And honestly, these tips are probably things that you have heard of before, but I can tell you it's all about execution and application. Like, are you really applying these 4 tips? And I guarantee you, if you do for a short period of time, I guarantee you, even if it's 1 week, 2 weeks, start small, pick up one of the tips, and then really follow through with it, you will feel very different about yourself. So it's almost like if you can try on one of these tips and then allow that to be like your declaration to yourself, like the rule that you live by, right? Meaning like I'm only going to focus on quality versus quantity. Or I'm just going to focus on commitment and really showing up with action versus my feelings. Things like that. And I get to, and you get to be okay. I talked about this previously. You get to trail off, right? Just like it was okay for me that day to realize that I was going for the bare minimum. But the minute I was aware, I took it up a notch, right? Like I showed up differently. So it takes with awareness and all of that. But I can tell you, if you apply these tips, you will be so much more confident in yourself, your abilities, and that you are going to generate ultimately the results and the outcomes that you want to have in your life. Okay. So that's my first episode for you on accountability. specifically on holding yourself accountable and how to build confidence at the same time. I really appreciate you watching or listening in. I love creating these episodes and these conversations for you. I hope that you will comment, follow me on Instagram, Facebook. I also have a book coming out too. One of my people are going to be sharing the link in one of my blogs. So check out my blog as well on www.fittoprofit.com and check out the book. I love the topic of the book as well. I hope you check it out. But it's called The Overcomer. I know I mentioned about the launch this month, so please check it out. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful week and sending you lots of love and confidence.